I have been building the piece that they need, like late the day before we're going to have the meeting where I go over it with them. That's okay. They will never know. Hello, and welcome back to Revenue Remix. I'm Summer Poletti, your host and founder and CRO of Rise of Us, where I help CEOs and founders avoid expensive mistakes. And this is a bonus episode in the series where it's just you and me talking about what that actually looks like. A common objection that I will get is that all of this planning sounds hard. It sounds like it's going to take a lot, and I don't want to slow down. This sounds slow. I want to move quickly. I get it. I'm a 3X founder. I don't like to wait either. But here's the thing. We already talked about the dangers of hiring someone in when there is no system. Usually they fail. And then what if they succeed? Your growth strategy now and all that sales structure is portable because it's living in the mind of an employee. So let's talk a little bit about how I marry speed and strategy. You kind of do get to have your cake and eat it too if you do it right. So going back to kind of two kinds of CEOs, some of them think about, I'm going to have to build all that structure. That sounds really hard. Never mind. I'll just take it back. And some of them pull the trigger on a hire that later on fails. We're going to thread the needle and do a little bit of both. So let's talk first about before the hire. Before the hire, look at what you need. You need a comp plan. You need a job description. You need pricing strategy to kind of thread into that comp plan. But you also need to know who their target is. Who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal partner? All of those things you should have before you start looking for someone. But the rest of it you can build later, because while you're interviewing, do they know if you have a sales process or not? No. So the second is what you can do while the search is happening. And what I like to do there is think about what absolutely has to be in place by day one. And that is a sales process, a sales strategy, and a 90-day success plan, or more, depending on how long your sales cycle is, but 90 days at least with success metrics in there. That way, during that probationary period, you know 100% if they're going to succeed or not, and you can make decisions accordingly. Build those while you are interviewing, and then aim to have them in place by day one. And then after day one, that is your cross-training, your sales playbook build out, all of that stuff. Certain pieces of content that they might need, a deck, whatever. All of those things you can build as you go. And guess what? Here's a little extra secret bonus. You can build according to like that 90-day plan. Just make sure that you're building before they get to it. They'll never know unless they listen to this, right? And what you do while they're ramping is you finish the playbook, you layer in a partner program, you put in additional lead generation strategies, you build out sales enablement content, stuff like that after they're already, past that 90-day period where they're making the calls themselves. So the insight here is that the sequence is the strategy. Knowing when someone needs to exist is just as important as knowing what needs to exist. My sales coach used to always tell me to stay one step ahead. This was when I was a baby sales leader. He just told me to stay one lesson ahead of my team and I'd be fine. And guess what? I did. And I was. So if you have a plan, you know where they are and you just have to execute just a little bit before they need it. And believe you me, I have been building the piece that they need, like late the day before we're going to have the meeting where I go over it with them. That's okay. They will never know. And then you have everything in place for the next hire. And I want to bring this back to maybe a small team, because not everybody I work with is hiring their first salesperson. Sometimes they have a small, scrappy team that they're scaling as part of their expansion efforts. And this can work for that also, because if you think about a small team of 1 to 4 salespeople, generally they're still reporting directly to the CEO or the founder. And generally that person is still involved in the big deals. They're still involved in the process. There's still a lot of hand holding. And with the small teams, I often see that the execution layer hasn't really been put into the company itself, because those employees, those first salespeople, those are often founding employees. They're super scrappy. And when you scale that team, you find that you get people who are more employee mindset. There's probably some gaps in the system when the team is still very small. So you're going to go back through. You're not going to need as much as somebody who's never had a salesperson before, but there's stuff that the $20 million ARR companies have that you don't have. So you're going to look to just fill what those gaps are. And the same process works. What you need to do before, during, while they're ramping, all of that. So just right size it for your org. And there you go. So I hope this was helpful. If you see anything in here that you think might be helpful to somebody who thinks that they don't have time to plan because they just need to grow and they've got to hire that sales hire, be a good business friend and send this over to them. And if it sounds like you can DM me on LinkedIn, and I promise I will tell nobody what we talk about. If you're listening in the gym or the car, I appreciate you, and I will see you next week.